And back in 2008, Mark Stein did an interview with Phil Jackson, and Phil Jackson talked about his 40-20 rule. And that is where he believed that a team isn't truly a championship contender, a legitimate bona fide championship contender, unless they win 40 games before they lose 20 games. And after this weekend, we have all the 40-20 teams set. Who are those three teams? Cleveland Cavaliers, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Boston Celtics. And there have only been three teams in NBA history that have won a title by breaking the 40-20 rule. That's the 05-06 Miami Heat, 03-04 Pistons, and 94-95 Houston Rockets. That's the lowest seed to ever win a championship. They won as the 6th seed. And just following the association this week, the Denver Nuggets, they lost to the Lakers. That was their 20th loss of the season. The Knicks, they got blown out, absolutely blown out. The Knicks are just bad against really good teams this season. They got smoked. That was their 20th loss. The Grizzlies, they lost to the Cavs. That was their 20th loss. All three of those teams sitting at 37-20. So yes, they could get to 40-20, but that 20th loss came before the 40th win. So we have not seen this rule broken in 19 years. So it actually is pretty accurate. So got to give the Zen Master Phil Jackson credit for this. So the Lakers would have to break that rule. Now, let's talk about the three teams. The three teams that are ahead of the Lakers in championship odds. And the first one is the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder have put together this incredible season. Young talent, versatile. They can do so many things on offense and defense. And they're now 10 games in the loss column ahead of the Grizzlies. 10 games. And they're 10 games in the loss column ahead of the 11th place Suns of the Grizzlies. So it's pretty crazy to see the lead they put together. And what's interesting about the Thunder is you're seeing this big lineup with Chet Holmgren, Isaiah Hartenstein. They're absolutely dominant. They've outscored opponents by 17.5 per 100 possessions when they're both on the floor. So you're seeing the Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren lineup together, outscoring opponents by a large margin. And another thing that happened recently too is the Celtics, they're not the only team that's elite offensively and defensively. The Thunder have ratcheted up on both sides of the floor. They have scored 125.9 points per 100% possessions in their last 5 games. You're seeing the offense continue to spark up. You got Shea, Jalen Williams. The efficiency has been there. And after they beat Utah last week, they've improved to 27-1 with 20 straight wins against the 15 teams that are at or below 500. So they've dominated the average to bad teams this season. The question is, do they have the star power? Do they have the experience to get it done and win 4 rounds in the playoffs? And now you got the Lakers in the fold, but I still think that they're number one. They're the number one threat. They've been elite all season long. I mean, guys like Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins have contributed. Shea is the runaway for MVP, but we know that Noel's a big Thunder fan. Are you as high on the Thunder as I am as far as them being the number one team to win a championship this season?
I mean, I think they've proven everything that they could outside of a postseason run. Their series last year against the Mavericks was interesting because, I mean, you had Luka just absolutely going crazy, and you had their trade deadline additions to just take them out. But I think they've taken another step this year, especially with Chet having missed so much time. The way they were able to hold down the fort, you added key veterans in Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein. You have an Isaiah Joe off the bench. You have another Jalen Williams, who's the other Jalen Williams on the team that is also very productive. I think you have a lot of pieces that make up. If you squint hard enough, you see other championship teams that have had a similar roster construction. And I think right now the 2 other teams in the East that they would likely go against if they made the finals, the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Boston Celtics, you have a lot of pieces that will kind of match up well with their guys. You obviously got Jalen Williams going up against Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. You got SGA manning the fort at the 1 position, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're going with the more traditional route, having 2 guards actually playing. You got 2 bigs in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. So I really like what I've seen from OKC. I think it's going to be really key to see what they can do in the postseason, and you're going to see if they're able to make a stretch, they're going to be able to keep this younger core they have together. If not, you start looking into maybe moving some of those draft picks, swinging for a big trade, a big star. But I definitely agree with you. I think that they're definitely the favorite to come out of the West, and I do like their odds to actually go out of Boston Celtics or the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, I think from the Lakers standpoint, I mean, what they have going for them is that Luka Doncic owns the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah. And that has been the boogeyman for them. And if there's one guy they don't want to see on a better roster, it has to be the Lakers. And if they match up the Lakers in a later round, that means the Lakers have already found something. They've already developed some confidence and some chemistry. And the deeper the Lakers get, the more you have to believe in their chances. So it almost feels like for the Thunder, you almost kind of feel like the Thunder of the early KD and Westbrook days, where it took them a couple of years and a couple of grueling losses to really get to where they wanted to go as far as finals appearances. They're never able to win the entire championship and hoist that Larry O, but still, I mean, the talent's there. And I think that just the depth too, and that double big lineup with Hartenstein and Chet has been massive. And I think it comes down to, I mean, does Shea lead the league in aura? I mean, I feel like I've never seen a team glaze. I mean, sorry guys, I hang out with a lot of the younger dudes here, but I've never seen a team glaze their superstar like they do Shea.
Yeah, those post game interviews where they're
hilarious, though. I will say.
No, those post game interviews where I know they were barking last year. They don't do it too much this year, but when they're just kind of like reacting and jumping to everything he says, and he literally has to tell them like calm down. I just think that's hilarious. But I think it also shows just how close that team is. You need that tight-knit championship culture. And I think we saw it with that OKC team back in the day with Harden, with Russ, with KD, with Kendrick Perkins. And I think that's why it hurt so much when that team broke up, specifically the KD and Russ, because they had each other's backs. But I like it. I think they have a younger team. It feels like that AAU squad that just runs through everybody throughout the regular year. You go to nationals. So I'm really excited to see how they fare.
Yeah, and look, it's all about the roster. It really is. It's all about players that can help you win and help you lose. Like, I mean, talk about that Laker game. I mean, the Denver Nuggets, you know who they missed against the Lakers?
Who?
D'Angelo Russell. I mean, D'Angelo Russell.
Bruce Brown.
No, D'Angelo Russell. He's the Denver Nugget MVP. Yeah. They absolutely missed him in that loss. But yeah, so let's go to number 2. Number 2 is the Boston Celtics. Would Adam Silver jump for joy to get this matchup after the year he's had with the ratings decline? The Boston Celtics sitting at 41-6. They won 9 of their last 10 games. All 5 have been by at least 13 points. Last week, they were absolutely dominant. They trailed in their 2 games for just 85 seconds where they were trailing, and they led each of those 5 games by at least 24 points. And I think the big thing with the Boston Celtics is you're seeing them share the ball. You're seeing less your turn, my turn with Tatum, with Jaylen Brown, with the depth that they have built with Pritchard essentially looking like a 6th man of the year candidate. Look at the assist percentage last week. They've gone 9-1 their last 10. And they recorded assists on 67% of their field goals. That translates in the playoffs. That number is up to 8th in the league, up from 23rd. So that has been the goal for Joe Mazzulla, is to try to get the assists up. Jason Tatum had 19 in their 2 wins last week, where he was setting the career highs for assists per game. I mean, that's perfect for what they're trying to do. And also the Celtics defense continues to be great. 104.6 defensive rating per 100 possessions. I mean, that is definitely a mark that shows that this Boston Celtics team is still the reigning champions. I think that they would be one of the probably least compelling back-to-back champions that we've seen based on their roster, but you got to give them credit. I mean, they just continue to win. They have a system that works. And I mean, from a script writing standpoint, I want to see Lakers versus the Knicks. I mean, that'd be my dream finals right now. But Lakers Celtics is right there.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't take anything away from Boston. They built this roster over the past couple of years. They made big trades. They traded away guys that kind of were the heart of their team, like Marcus Smart. And yeah, I mean, when you have 2 wings that can play basketball the way that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum do, and you surround them with guards and bigs that can do a lot of multiple things, it's a scary sight for any team. They really, once they get a lead, they rarely blow it. Like you said, they trailed only for a little bit, and they just held on to their leads for the rest of the games. And looking out east, they're not going to have much trouble the first couple rounds. I think it's going to be pretty interesting if the Cavs go the full mile and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and you're going to get a really good matchup there because Cleveland took out Boston earlier this season. But pretty much the bread is their butter for them. They're going to do their thing, and they have everything set to actually make that run once again and defend their title. I think Celtics versus Lakers would be amazing. We almost got it about 2 years ago, so it would be cool if actually both teams were able to make it this year.
Absolutely. I think the big wild card is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I mean, that's a team that you have length, you have athleticism. They've continued to improve their 3-point shooting. I think you've got a Donovan Mitchell that can make shots in big spots in the playoffs. You got a Evan Mobley, a Darius Garland. I think the Hunter addition as a wing that can get you almost 20 points off the bench. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers, so they're not going to make a ton of headlines. But I could easily see them for sure making the Eastern Conference Finals and kind of being that team that kind of makes it out of the East. And I know Adam Silver probably doesn't want that, but from a talent standpoint, I mean, they're just really, really good. If you look at the week they had last week, they allowed 106.4 points per 100 possessions in their last couple of weeks. That number is way up. The efficiency, the 3-point shooting in the last week has skyrocketed. I mean, they were 37.3% in the first 2 months of the season. That number has gone up. So that's what you need. You need great defense, the ability to hit threes, guys that can make shots in the clutch. I like the guard duo of Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen as a formidable front court. DeAndre Hunter, a really nice addition, like I said. So, yeah, I mean, the Cavs, they're going to play 4 straight games against teams with losing records. So they got to stockpile those wins, and they're 12-1 since December against below 500 teams. So they're a lot like the Thunder in that they can beat up on bad teams. So those are 3 teams right there. It is the Thunder, the Celtics, and the Cavaliers. All those teams, I mean, I think Shea, has a MVP, can end up as a top 50 guy. He has certainly the potential to be that. Jason Tatum, right now he's probably, if you look at kind of the advanced stats, probably top 20 guy in the league at this point. You look at the Cavaliers, no future all-time greats. If there was a year that the Lakers could sneak into the finals after a big addition, it's got to be this year. And I don't know if you saw this too. Did you see a Rob Pelinka at the Warriors game?
Yeah, with
for
Nico
no reason.
Harrison.
Nico Harrison. Yeah. Probably talking about how they can trade for Kyrie and Anthony Davis for like Rui Hachimura and like a second round pick. That's the optics wise. If I'm Nico Harrison,
that was pretty comical.
I want him nowhere near me in that spot. Yeah. What was he thinking?
Yeah, no, that was insane. That's kind of just like rubbing it in the face of your fans. Like you're still greeting the guy in public that kind of threw your franchise over and just has people literally threatening you to kill you because you traded away the franchise star, threatening to commit crazy things. It's a horrible look, especially in public. I know they're friends. I know like this all started over a cup of coffee and they talk regularly, but doing that in public when there's a lot of cameras on you, it's pretty disrespectful.
I think at some point we're going to see Nico Harrison in a Lakers quarter zip. Like I said, I think he's going to be the first NBA executive to win NBA Executive of the Year for another team. He's going to be the Lakers Executive of the Year for pulling that trade off and working that miracle